Recording in progress.
Sorry, Brett, we got disconnected now, so
That's okay. Um, it looks like we have some participants coming back in.
yes.
Cool. Yeah, we just got disconnected, but we're back in action.
Talking about stress.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, no. Thank you, everyone who's coming back. Sorry about that. We got disconnected, but we're back in.
Yes,
Thank you
we're
for
back in.
attending.
So we could wait for a few more folks and then I'm going to screen share. Okay. Cool. And you could see Vanya's testimonial at the bottom of this technique. She's retired Coast Guard. Um, she's been to a number of our retreats. She lives near West Point. Um, he awakens your own ability to heal. So when we get good at these techniques, it's almost like you become your body's own best mechanic because no one knows where your pain is like you do. No one knows where the tension is like you do. Even if you explained it perfectly to a doctor, they're not going to know exactly where it is and what it feels like. But you, when you get good at targeting the tension, putting your fingers there, putting your palms there, breathing through the source of the tension that's deep inside you, the most tightest part, and you just get really good at breathing into it as you're touching it. And then once per breath, silently saying, I'm okay. He's okay. She's okay. We're all okay. Now, sometimes that takes, 5 or 10 minutes for the tension to release, right? But now this technique takes it a bit deeper, okay? Because we're doing the touch, the breath, then we start to express our emotions, and then we're talking about how do we align our body and mind on a deeper level to get that relaxation and that relief. So this technique is called the 4 Steps to Freedom, right? And we could walk through it together now. So I love, as I'm sharing it, we could actually practice it. So we touch the area of tension. When I get stressed out or I feel emotional pain, it's usually in my heart, my chest, so I'm touching there. And typically, when we have strong emotional reactions, it is the heart, the stomach, the solar plexus, or the throat. The location of the tension is extremely important because that's where repressed cellular memory is stored that fuels that emotion. Okay? So every stress you ever experienced for your entire life is stored inside your body. Okay? And in the subconscious mind. But the emotional weight is stored inside the body. So let's say your spouse triggers your stress and you feel it in your heart. Well, that stress has been building up and it usually stems from your relationship with one of your parents from childhood. So when you touch it, you're actually touching the root of the stress. That's why it's so important to touch the tense cells that are in your body with the calm cells that are in your hand. Because when the calm cells touch the tense cells, an equilibrium happens, right? With physical touch and physical connection. I came up with this step, this touch, after researching different healing techniques for like quantum touch, physical touch for healing purposes. But then I went back to my grandmother when I was like 5 years old and I was running and I scraped my knee and I was crying and my knee was bleeding. So she brought me into her rocking chair and she just hugged me and she would just rock with me. And after about 5 minutes of her calmly rocking me, all of my pain would go away. And I was like, what is that? Right? How does this go away all of a sudden? And it wasn't like it was gradual. It would just all of a sudden, it would be gone. So that physical touch, that deep, slow breath, right? We get into the breath here. So breathing deep and slow, imagining the airflow moving through the center of the tightness. Every 10 to 20 breaths, you're going to feel that tension expand as the tightness begins to unravel. It's kind of like like when you have holiday lights and you pack them up. And you think when you pack them up really neat, and then you put them in your attic. But then somehow when you take them out of your attic, they're in a big ball. I don't know how this always happens, right? They're in a big ball, a big knot. And you're like, I thought I put it away right, but you didn't. So anyway, it's like untying a knot. And when you're breathing into the tension, that knot starts to expand. It is getting bigger, but it's getting softer because it's diluting the tension. Okay? It's diluting the tension. And I call this letting the cake bake. All right? Now, once the cake is baking and it expands, that's when you really tune into the emotion. And you could start expressing it. All emotional pain releases from the body when it's seen, heard, and loved. So expressing our emotions, expressing the roots of our emotions, is vital to find emotional peace in there, right? It's almost like if you came back from a long journey and you have a big bag of luggage, right? You have like a big piece of luggage and all the laundry in there is dirty. And there's always that stinky pair of socks, right? So it's like you haven't opened up this luggage for a long time. So you open it up and you're just letting out the dirty laundry, right? You're dropping it into the laundry bin one at a time. And then, phew, some of those socks might smell, right? Those are the emotions that have been in there toxic for a long time. As we're expressing them, sometimes tears will flow. That's a good sign. That means you're letting the pain go. That means you're doing it right. Okay? The easiest way to start to express your emotions is right now I feel the tightness in my heart. Wherever you feel it. Right now I feel it in my throat, my stomach, my shoulders, my hips, wherever you feel it, right? So right now I feel this tightness in my heart. The emotion feels like sadness. I think it's related to something going on with Johnny, right? Whatever it is, whatever you think it might be related to. And when you answer that third question, just take your time and let yourself express freely without any judgment, without any censor. And you'll be surprised with what starts to come out of your mouth because now you're going to start to unwind the emotional pain. Once you feel like you've emptied the tank and you said everything you could say, and I'll give you an example. You remember when you were like a teenager and you had like a best friend or a sibling and you were really upset and you were just kind of like venting and telling them everything that happened. And at like an hour later, you were like, you just felt like you said all you could say about it, right? You said everything you could say. That's emptying the tank when you've expressed all of it. Okay. When you've expressed all of it, then you move to step 4. All right. And you could say these words. I unlock and release all the sadness, if that's what it was for you, from my heart, if that's where it was, right now. So you're breathing deeply and slowly. You're touching the tension. After you expressed all your feelings, then you're saying, I unlock and release all the sadness from my heart right now. Now, the power of the subconscious is extremely, the power of the subconscious is, it's almost like, it's hard to explain, but I want to put it this way. When you say something, there is a power in the spoken word, and your brain is listening to every thought and everything you say, and it's supporting everything you say and everything you think. Your brain is like a supercomputer, or imagine like a legion of workers that like when you say something subconsciously, it's getting put to work in and all around you. So when you say, I unlock and release all this sadness, especially after you expressed all your emotions, from my heart, as you're breathing into it and as you're touching it, right now, very important how you say right now, you say with authority. And you're breathing deeply and slowly, and you take about 10 more deep breaths, and then you could repeat it again. You're going to start to feel this old pain unlock and release. I just want to check in with the group. Did anyone happen to do this right now as we were doing that with me? If you did, if you were following along and you were doing it, if you could just write into the chat what your experience was. because even when every time I teach it, I feel tension coming off of me, right? In like new ways. Tension I didn't even know was there. And then all of a sudden, a little bit over here will feel more open, right? So if anyone has any thoughts or comments or questions,
I
I can
don't
answer
see
them now.
any comments yet, Brett, but I have a question for you. Sometimes I feel that it's hard to find step 3C, what it is related to. Like we try to ignore or we try to negate certain issues that might be happening. And we do it so well that we can say, yeah, I feel sad, but I really don't know why. Or I feel stressed, but I don't know. I mean, it's been a great day. I don't know why I'm so stressed out. And you really don't. So how do you really find the source of your feelings?
So you just brought up the perfect question at the perfect time, because now this next technique goes right into it. How do we uncover the source, right? So at the start of the pandemic, I had a lot of friends that worked in the New York City hospitals, and they were telling me stories about, you know, uh, doctors, nurses, administrators in the parking lot, overwhelmed, crying before work and then after work, and then also waiting in their driveway before they could even walk into their house to see their families, doing the same thing. So I created the anxiety freedom technique because I felt like in those hospitals during the onset of the pandemic, like the first year especially, it was like a tsunami of anxiety, right?
Mhm.
So I created this technique called the anxiety freedom technique. The key, right, is discovering and identifying the core fear fueling the anxiety. Then we use a freedom statement to create a new neural pathway, and then we integrate that new neural pathway into the body so you get that release. So now I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, step one. I'm going to summarize it. Here's when you want to figure out what's really bothering you. You get a pen and a paper and you write down everything that's stressing you out and you number it. So it could be something going on with my mom, something going on with my son, something going on with my spouse, politics, work, this new, a new boss, new supervisor, whatever it is. You list everything that could be stressing you out. And then you look at the list and you circle the one thing that is stressing you out the most. And we focus there. Once you circled the biggest stressor, you ask yourself, what is the worst case scenario of the situation I circled? Then you ask yourself, what is my biggest fear about that worst case scenario? When you answer those questions, you surface the subconscious fear that's fueling all of your anxiety, that's fueling the emotional pain. And this technique is probably the one that I personally use the most. And I've gotten the most relief from. Because sometimes we could be in therapy for 3, 5, 10 years and never really get to that core subconscious fear. That core subconscious fear was typically set in place in our childhood during our formative years, right? And then it kicks up in times of stress. So what we do in this technique, we're going deep to surface the core fear. And once we surface it, then we go right to the body. Where do we feel tension when that core fear is on the surface? Right? The core fear is usually around losing love, losing a loved one, dying alone,
Mhm.
right? Things like that. That's usually at the source of all these things. And if we think about, especially when we're a caregiver for a loved one, what's our biggest fear? Losing a loved one. We're doing everything we can to keep them with us, right? But the key is you could do it in a more loving way when you let go of the fear. Imagine a version of you that was doing that job, doing that caregiving, or just loving a child, loving a spouse that's going through a lot with pure unconditional love. Remember, what do we all want at the end of the day? We all want to be unconditionally loved and accepted. So if you could move through your life with that open heart that is there as a great listener, that doesn't have to fix everybody, because not everybody's ready to be fixed, especially by you or by me. So if we could just be the great listener, if we could remember, all emotional pain leaves when it's seen, heard, and loved, right? So if we are providing a safe space for somebody to express their pain, and we're right there with them, we're not overreacting, we're not afraid, we're releasing our own stress as we're being present for them. This is when they feel safe enough to let that pain go. Okay? And all emotional pain, all anxiety is coming up to leave. We just haven't figured out how to play the game yet. The universe is not torturing us with stress or trauma or anxiety. It's trying to help us release it from the body. But when that pain gets to our brain, we identify with it and we hold on to it. I'm so angry. I'm so sad. This will never change, right? That's us holding on. But if we just allow it to come up and touch the body and breathe into the source of the pain and express it freely, right? Express that pain. And then we say, I unlock and release it from my heart, from my stomach, wherever it might be, from my shoulders. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're learning how to play the game to bypass holding on to all this pain. All right? So
Does
again,
it
as we're... Go ahead.
does it have anything to do with acceptance? I feel that sometimes we so hardly want to change the world that we stress so much about it. But if we learn to accept, like in your example, like I learned to accept that I might end up losing someone I love, that I might end up, I don't know, losing my job if your stress is your job, or losing a child, or whatever it is, and I accept that. Would that help? I don't know. I just
All right, so
find that the what it says that you replace that space with something, it's sometimes that's the hardest part. It's like, because then you think about it again and just get stressed again, unless you
so
accept it.
you bring up an amazing point, and I want to unpack this. Acceptance is the key to unconditional love. There's acceptance, forgiveness, and then the love can flow. So what I always say is accept the unacceptable, forgive the unforgivable, and love the unlovable within us. The key is looking inward, not focusing on the outside. So if we are afraid to lose a loved one, and I've been there multiple times with multiple loved ones, okay? I didn't accept it on the outside. I accepted the pain on the inside so my heart can open to love that pain. So I could be more present when I'm with them. More true, my own true nature, which is a very reconnecting, loving presence. And remember, what people want is to be loved, to be heard, and to be seen. Okay? So when we're reacting and when we're afraid to lose that loved one, our stress is taken over. And the words our stress wants to say will never help their pain go away. Only love can do that. So just like if you were driving your car down the highway and you saw your best friend's car pulled over on the side of the highway and their battery died, and you get out of your car, you pulled over right in front of them, and you hooked up the jumper cables and you jumped their battery back to life. When your loved one feels your love, the love starts to re-spark inside their heart, just like those jumper cables. Love is the fabric of the universe, and when we open our heart to it is when we are in true service, helping people reconnect with themselves again. So acceptance is the key, but you're not accepting like this horrible situation on the outside. You're accepting and loving the pain on the inside your body. There's a correlation between that thing on the outside and the pain on the inside, yes? Like when you think about that pain or you see it, you feel it. So we can't change all this stuff out here, but what we can change is change the pain on the inside by embracing it, letting our heart open to it, and letting our heart bathe that pain in unconditional love inside of ourselves. This way, when we come forward and we face that pain, we're coming from love. We're coming from love. This is a difficult task, but it's not impossible. It's very, very possible. All it takes is your choice to, when you want to react and you want to say the thing that you've been saying to the person that you love and that you're afraid of losing. You've said it all before. You're just going to say the same things again, right? You're probably going to get the same result because you two are playing ping pong, right? With the words verbally, you're not getting anywhere. But if you change in here and you let the love in here in you, then it will start to flow through you. And then the change can start to happen in them. I see we have a few, it looks like we have a few comments. I'm not sure if they're new ones. You're still muted, Sandra.
Sorry about that. So yes, people have been asking if they can get the slides.
Yes, of course. Yeah. So now the freedom statement is really important, right? So in these questions, we found out what our biggest fear is, right? So I want to completely break free of the fear of losing little Johnny. And I unlock and release all the tension in my heart. I replace all that space with eternal connection to him right now. So you fill all this out. And remember, the power of the subconscious, the power of the supercomputer, no matter what you believe in, this is a supercomputer, right? And the subconscious is always listening to us. And the universe wants to be there for us. Now it's time for us to let it. When you say, I want to completely break free from that fear, you're commanding your subconscious and the universe to support you in this, and it starts to happen immediately. Okay, you start to feel it. Then how do you integrate this? You lay down, right? What I like to do is I look into the sun, I squint, let a little sunlight in, I lay down on the couch, close my eyes, put one hand on the tension, the other hand on my heart. I start breathing deeply and slowly, and then I slowly repeat my freedom statement for about 10 minutes as I'm breathing deeply and slowly. And then I'm tracing the tension out of my body, right? That's how we process core fear and emotional pain. Okay. This is the way, folks. This is the way I do it. I've been teaching it for a long time. Once people get the hang of it, it's amazing. Like when you wake up with anxiety at 2:30 in the morning, you can't go back to sleep because you're worried about something. This is what I do. I was just at a trauma symposium last week in the Bahamas, and I actually modeled this on stage. I laid down on stage, showed them exactly what I do, where I put my hands. There was like 350 people in the audience. And yeah, this works. I want to go to the next slide. If you have any questions, I'm happy to discuss.
Brett, it's like a massage, right? You go for a nice massage and okay, you release your tension. But this is what I find about massages. It's like it feels good for like half an hour. And then I'm back like this.
And then it comes back.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Okay. This is why things come back, because of emotional memory, because we didn't get to the source. The massage is just getting to the surface. When you talk about your core fear and the tears are flowing and you're letting the pain go, right? And you're saying, I unlock and release this, you're breaking through. You're getting into the source. Look, here's where the source is. Your core fear, right? That stems from a trauma. Here's where the source is. Now let me ask you this. Was it the ice above the waterline or the ice below the waterline that sank the Titanic? Icebergs, the large majority of the ice is below the waterline. This red line here is our subconscious divide. We are only 90% of our mental processing occurs below the conscious level. That means we're not really in touch with the supercomputer. We're really not in touch with what drives us. We're really not in touch with our biggest fears, our worst. We're not in touch with all that, right? But as we do, we get into the center of the iceberg where the ice is the most dense, and we start to melt it down with our touch, our breath, and our expression. So what do you think happens to the ice above the waterline when we melt it down from below the waterline? Think of an iceberg. Mm-hmm. Now, imagine we melt down all the ice below the waterline. What's going to happen to the ice above the waterline? What do you think happens to it, Sandra?
It gets stronger?
So if we melt down all the ice below the waterline, the ice above the waterline, that iceberg
Oh,
is going to sink
mm-hmm,
into the water, right? It's going to look smaller, and then it's going to dissipate
mm-hmm.
because we melted it down at the source of it, right? At the source of it. So this is how we release pain from trauma, traumatic memories. Let's say we saw something 3 years ago that was traumatic, and we could be having nightmares about it or flashbacks, so we just can't get it out of our head. Let's say we were visiting a loved one in a hospital. We can't get that out of our head. This is how we do it. Okay, I'm going to show you. So first thing we do is we regulate our emotions in our body. We get really relaxed with stress stopper breath work, and we're laying down, right? By now we all know how to do stress stopper breath work. Then we remember that memory. We pull it into our forefront of our mind with our eyes closed. Now our body is going to go into a stress reaction. We're going to feel the pain, right? But I want you to move your hands and embrace the tension and breathe deeply and slowly and express your feelings. Expressing your feelings, breathing deeply and slowly, holding that memory in mind. Then we move to step 3, right? And I want you to breathe deeply and slowly with your eyes closed. Once per breath, you're going to say, I'm okay. And what you're going to do there is you're going to visualize yourself inside the original memory, breathing the same way, right? So what that looks like is, so if I'm thinking about, let's say I got bit by a dog when I was 10 years old, and I've been afraid of dogs ever since. So I'm thinking of that memory. My heart starts racing. I touch it. I start breathing into it. My heart starts slowing down. Now I'm starting to say, I'm okay once per breath while seeing the memory. And now I'm visualizing myself inside that memory. I'm seeing my 10-year-old self saying, I'm okay, and breathing deeply and slowly. Once per breath, we're both saying, I'm okay. I'm doing it right here in reality, and I'm witnessing my past self in the traumatic memory breathing the exact same way. And I do this for 10 minutes or so until all the tension leaves my body. I'm okay. We made it through. We're alive. I'm okay. And if the memory is too chaotic, you could press the pause button on it. So it freezes. It's a freeze frame, but you could see yourself breathing and touching the tension and knowing that you're okay. And then we integrate it by shifting your awareness back to the present moment, looking around, feeling the airflow, and once per breath, saying, I'm okay. Do we have any questions about that, Sandra?
Not from the audience, but I do have one. What if your fear is not a personal fear, but a fear for somebody else? So, for example, as mothers, I think we're always fearful that something is going to happen to our kids, right? Or as caregivers, we're always thinking, oh my God, something is going to happen to my mom or my dad or my husband or whomever it is. So, how do you do that when your fear is in another person?
So what you would do is think of the trend of what I'm sharing with you today, right? We go to the touch. So when you're thinking of that fear, close your eyes, identify where that fear lives inside your body. You start breathing deeply and slowly into it, right? I'm going to go back a few slides. We're going to breathe deeply and slowly into it. Then we're going to start to express our feelings and let the words out. I'm so scared that little Johnny's going to go to school one day and something's going to happen. And, you just start verbalizing it without censor, without judgment. And you let more and more come out. And the key is you're breathing into the tension, because the tension's going to change and move as you're expressing your emotions. And you're touching the tension. You're tracing it with your fingertips and your palms. You're embracing it with your touch and your breath. And another layer is going to come up. And then you express that layer in the same way. Other memories might come up and you express it all in the same way. And when you feel you've expressed it all, that's when you go back to that step 4 and you say, I unlock and release all this fear from my heart right now. Okay, so it comes down to touch, breath, expression, and then your freedom statement at the end. Okay, do we have another question? It looks like I see 7 in there.
We have a comment says, this is super helpful. Thank you. And I think it is. This is, wow.
Awesome. I'm glad that you're finding it helpful. The folks that I teach, it's kind of like a get out of jail free card, meaning like, when we feel like trapped with the emotions and the stress and the anxiety and the overwhelm, this is our way out. And this is, I call this the emotional body model. It shows you where the emotions pool in your body so that you actually get good at understanding how to release it from anywhere. So I'll give you an example. Sometimes when we get really stressed and we have a lot on our plate, we might feel it in our face, right? And that comes from times that we were facing too much. So for example, if you are dealing with a really tough situation at work, a tough situation at home, and a personal health care issue, right? That's like too much to face. So when you get stressed out, you might feel all the tension in your face. Our jaw is where we hold repressed anger. So people that have like sleep bruxism or grinding at night, that's all unrepressed anger. I'm sorry, that's repressed anger. So there's ways to let all this stuff go. If we have tension in the throat, that is from times where we knew what to say, but we held back our words anyway. This could happen if we have like a domineering parent that we grew up with, that we always wanted to tell them how we felt, but we didn't feel safe enough to tell them how we felt. Or a supervisor at work where we're like, I really want to tell this person this, but I just can't. You hold there. The heart holds anger, sadness, and fear from the illusion that we were disconnected from love. The solar plexus is our power center in the body. It's the power center. It's where our power is. The solar plexus holds emotional energy when someone took our power away or we gave it away. The hips usually hold tension around sexual abuse, shame around sexuality, and it affects our creativity and our sensuality, right? When we have headaches, that's when there's too much to think about. The shoulders is where we hold overwhelming obligation, responsibility, and burden. And our back, our spine, is where we hold memories of not feeling supported, where you feel like you had to do it all on your own and no one else was helping you, right? And then if you go to the right side, you could see the affirmations that help us unlock and release the tension from that area, okay? So the gut is a very interesting area too. Often people tell me they wake up on Monday morning or they're trying to go to sleep at Sunday night, but they have like a pit in their stomach of like anxiety. That comes from pushing our emotions down. Sometimes we pushed our emotions down for years or even decades. All of this stuff is easy to unpack. Once we become aware of what it is, how it works, and how to play the game, we can unwind all of this stuff. And then we have, so we have a membership. We teach every single day at 9 a.m. to 9:30. We have a relaxation class, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays meditation, Tuesday, Thursdays Qigong. We have a live training once a month, just like this. And then we have our master class that's available 24/7 on that. The master class is really good. It kind of brings you through all the tools, but it has like 4 or 5 videos that go deep into teaching how it works. This is for people that are supporting other people. This, and you'll get this in the slides. If you're supporting somebody or you're a mental health professional or caregiver, your body language is very important to help somebody feel safe. So the first thing you want to do is use your left eye looking into their right eye, lean forward with your left side, your left shoulder and your left knee and your left palm facing up, right? And you don't want to cross your limbs. You don't want to kind of turn away, right? You want to be engaged with a slight lean in with a soft gaze soft expressions, and you don't want to talk too much. You want to respond with your eyebrows because you want to have them have a lot of open space to talk, right? So when you want to respond and you want to jump back in, just nod. You could nod. You could just do a little squint to show like you're really feeling what they're saying. You could raise your eyebrows like, wow, I didn't know you were feeling all that, right? And then the key here when you're supporting someone is to release your own stress while they're expressing their pain, right? Because if they're expressing their pain and you're becoming a ball of stress, now you just have two stressed out people, two stress balls. No good, no bueno, right? So you could help them if you're releasing your stress as they're expressing theirs. And the way you do it is just by clandestinely touching the tension, breathing deeply and slowly into it. And they might say, hey, why are you touching your chest? And you could say, I really feel what you're saying. And then they'll be like, wow, she's really in this with me. They're really listening. So it's really important to do that. And then finally, these are some really good statements to use to get somebody to open up after you've practiced the body language. If someone that you're supporting is kind of like in a bad space and they kind of like project something onto you, or like, let's say they're just really upset, you lean in with the right body language, your left palm resting up on your left knee, and you say, please tell me more. And you let them talk. You don't say anything. When they're done talking, you say, I want to hear everything. And you zip it, you let them talk for 1 minute or an hour, it doesn't matter, however long it takes. When they're done, you say, what's the hardest part to talk about? Now they're getting deeper. Now they're going to express more pain, more emotion. Now is like a decision point for them. Do they trust you? If you're using the right body language and you're responding the way we're talking about and you're not expressing any stress, they're going to trust you with their pain. Remember, all emotional pain will leave the body when it's seen, heard, and loved. So can you do this for them? Right? So that's a very important technique. It'll be in the slides. That's just a little bit about me, but I already shared that with you. That's about Stress Is Gone. And I want to check on how we are in time. Oh, we're over on time. Of course, I went too long. Sorry about that,
But
everybody.
we're so interested. We are like, shh, don't tell him. Yes. Brett, where can people find you if they
Oh,
want to connect with you?
yes, stressisgone.com. I also have a nonprofit, but we do our coaching through stressisgone.com. We have retreats. We have training. So I train mental health professionals. I train caregivers how to do all this stuff. And I certify people in the self-care method. So I want to give everyone here a coupon code because if you decide to get anything at Stress Is Gone, I want you to get it at half off. Okay. So the coupon code is healing. So if you're on the site and you're like, oh, I want to get some coaching with Brett. When you're about to purchase it, it'll say, do you have a promo code? Click that link, put in the word healing. 3 seconds later, it'll be cut in half. If you want to learn from me, same thing. We do have a women's retreat coming up at the Himalayan Institute in the Poconos at the end of March. It's an amazing experience. We go through all these techniques. You're also going to go through deep meditations. We're going to have dance. We have one of the best dance instructors for emotional relief. It's like a cathartic movement. She's coming in. Her name is Tony Bergens. She founded Journey Dance. And then we have an African drummer coming in that's going to lead a drum circle with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. So it's going to be healing and a great time. And people learn a lot. They get a lot out of these.
And where can you
retreats.
register for the retreat? At the website?
Yeah, so if you go to stressisgone.com and then you click on retreats or events, you scroll down, you'll see the Himalayan Institute Women's Retreat. That's March 27th. So we did a men's retreat over the summer at the Omega Institute. And then usually, most of our retreats are co-ed. Our Kripalu retreats, we just did one a few months ago at Kripalu in Massachusetts. That was co-ed. It was an amazing experience. So we have co-ed retreats. And again, I train people every week in these techniques and the self-care techniques. And we do it through Zoom. But the retreats are really special. Yes, stressisgone.com. And I'm actually going to just put a special link into there because I want people to know exactly
Yeah.
where to get the
And
women's retreat.
people want to know if you're going to do a men's retreat anytime soon.
We don't have a men's retreat scheduled, but that can change quickly. So what I would do is when you go to stressisgone.com, get the free gift.
Mhm.
Okay. The free gift, it will put you on our mailing list, and the free gift actually has a video of some of these techniques, has a handout, and yeah, so it has everything that you could need or want as far as the techniques go. And then it'll put you on the email list, and then you'll know exactly when we have new stuff happening.
Brett, and if we want to
Um,
get your books,
they're on Amazon. So if you go to Amazon and you put in Brett Cotter, you'll see that. I also sell them on our website, but Amazon could deliver it like the next day. So the book that goes into the techniques that I shared with you today is the Stress is Gone method. It has like a yellow cover. And then the other one that goes into some of the caregiver stuff is the Suicide Prevention Family Handbook. Those Both of those books have a lot of these techniques in them.
well, this has been a true treat for us. So thank you so much. We're gonna have to be in touch again because people are already asking me if you're coming back to community chats. So hopefully you do.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah, so we'll talk more about it. And thank you to our participants in the audience. Thank you so much for interacting with us and for staying there. And I know we need a lot more of these things, and having Brett here was amazing. This is really, really life changing. So thank
Thank you
you for
so
this.
much. Thank
You
you so
you
much. My final
definitely make our
message,
lives better.
yeah, my final message is that anyone could do this. It just takes a little bit of practice. And I just put the slides into the chat. I don't know if you could see that. But so anyone
Yes.
that has access to the chat, you could just download it if you click it, and you could save it to your computer. But I'll also send it to
Mhm.
Sandra via email as well.
Yes, so I'll be sending you the slides via email to everybody who registered. So you will receive them within a week or so.
Cool. And there was one other thing that I wanted to share with the group. I forgot to. It is a free year in our meditation group. So I'm going to share that in the chat, right? So we meditate every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I lead that at 9 a.m. My wife teaches the Qigong, which is gentle movement, like really gentle yoga. And all you got to do is click that, and then you will register. You'll join, and then you'll be in. You'll get reminders when we're doing the classes, and it's a life changer, you know. And it's a really nice community, you know. But
That's very
when you
nice.
start to meditate with the Stress is Gone style of meditation,
Mhm.
it brings so much peace into your mind and body. So I just wanted to share that.
And who doesn't need peace,
Right.
especially in times of war?
I know, I know. I need more peace. So that's why I do all this. It actually brings me deep peace when I facilitate and share and teach. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
thank you so
thank you so much.
much again. Sorry for taking up more of your time, and same with our participants. But hey, if you're still here, it's because you're interested. So, and you made
Right.
it very interesting for us. So, thank you so much. And I will see everybody next week.
Awesome.
Let me see if I can find what we're talking about next week. I can't remember, but anyway, we'll see you again next week. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.